A fresh way to give back. Hello, we are Renew Yourself. In our group, we have Kennedy Dickens, Gabriella Pozos, Jah'Vonni Wright, and me, myself, Zarin Reed.
As a recap, our problem statement is, according to the Charlotte Housing and Homelessness Poll, there are approximately 2,782 homeless people in Charlotte. Homelessness denies a way for people to maintain proper hygiene care. As a result, the limited resources available for them creates temporary solutions to an epidemic problem.
We want to remind you of who we are and what our mission is, which is as follows. Renew Yourself provides a permanent full bathroom with a changing area that can be accessed by homeless people using temporary codes given out through places that service homelessness in the Charlotte region.
So our team would like to update everybody and let them know where we are at in our project. So as of right now, we are doing our first draft of our physical prototype and 3D model, where we met with a new mentor, Marilyn Watanabe, and from Think Dignity, and she was one of our competitive products. And we are going through the design process as normal, but we do understand as a group that we might have to go back to some things, such as sketches, and redo them to make our product the best it can be.
All right, so here we have a few of our sketches. We ended up mixing two of the designs and making one of our final products.
So these are our decision matrices, and we have the top one, interior floor plan, exterior view, bathroom flooring and walls, and they kind of show that some of our decision matrices were very specific, such as concrete or tiles or which tiles we're going to use, while others we kind of use to figure out what sketches we, as they mentioned, what sketches we were going to use to create our 3D model and physical prototype.
These are a few comments that our mentors had about our initial sketches. The part that stood out the most to our mentors was the inclusion of solar panels on our roof. Something that we had not included in our sketches was a vent and an HVAC system. So we'll intend to include that in our next sketches.
So these are our first 3D models, and they were made in Revit. And as you can see, we have the floor plan, the front view, top view, and these are not the final ones. We will be editing. As you can see, there's no solar panels or anything that's really environmental friendly, but we are working on that, and you will see an update in the future.
And here we have our first physical makeup of our building. As you can see, that it kind of resembles our floor plans, and we plan on changing it in the future.
We initially started our polling process during P1 and have since continued throughout P2. We see a trend that the homeless population believes that hygiene is very important. However, oftentimes they don't have the resources to follow through with their claims. This is our STEM product. And first we're going to do science. So we researched the benefits of both cold and hot showers, and we'll be implementing our findings in finding like an adequate HVAC system and a ventilation system. And because of COVID, we must take extra precautions when cleaning. Therefore, we have looked into the CDC guidelines and incorporated what they said into our future cleaning process.
So then we have technology, and for the technology side of our product, we're using Revit as we shown for our 3D model. We use Eclipse, which is a Java program that we're going to use to code the keypad to make sure only homeless people can get in. And we'll be using websites or our website to show statistical reports to make sure that our product is a success and still viable as we go along in our journey.
All right, so here we have our engineering principles. As you can see in one of the pictures, we have a picture of like a blueprint of a building. In the picture, it's a lot of details and information on like plumbing and electrical wiring. In the bottom right picture, we have a picture of a meeting between engineers in which we'll have a lot of those so the engineers can communicate within each other to make the best building, the best version of the building as possible.
We then have our mathematics side, and we talked about things such as finance, and we also talked about trigonometry, geometry, and computing area, volume. We also took it a step farther, and we decided to talk about KPIs, which are key performance indicators. And this is where they take in sponsorship growth. We take in users' comments, and we just want to make sure that our product is as successful as it could be.
And here we have the users and environmental positives and negatives. One positive of users is that it can allow people to take care of their basic hygienic needs. And one negative is that it creates a demand that we will not be able to fulfill due to only having 2 bathrooms.
So then we want to talk about the laws, codes, and regulations. We have mentioned in the past about the ADA. We'll still be in compliant with them and make sure that people with disabilities are not being discriminated against. We also have the North Carolina State Building Code. This is a series, and they talk about building codes, plumbing codes, and fire prevention. We will be following all of those. But the building codes is very important to us because this is how we're going to be able to make our product. Then we have Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which is OSHA, as many people know. And this really came into play when we talked about sanitation for our product, because we do want to make sure that everybody is safe in our product. And there are many others that we did not list, but these are the few that we have. So this is our product life cycle, and you can start any stage in our product life cycle. But we decided to start at raw material extraction and manufacturing, which is turning raw materials and natural resources into a useful form to be used as a building materials. And then we go on to construction, which is fitting the materials together to create the structure. Then we move to operation and maintenance, which should be the longest stage, because it's running and maintaining open doors in the business while refurbishing in the process, until the point where maintaining the building is too much money and it's not bringing in as much money. And that's when we have to demolition and disposal, which is our next stage. And this is dismantling the building with the intention of removing the structure from existence. We will then reuse and recycle to recover components and materials that can be reused and recycled in the future. And we would like to reuse these to make our product better or to make a new product.
Our product is viable because it is drastically needed in the Charlotte region. Although there are many obstacles, such as having sufficient funds and finding a right location that could hinder our successfulness, we plan to beat the odds and become the first ever organization to establish a free public restroom for the homeless.
All right, so what we won't be able to accomplish in our project is being able to make an actual physical copy of this building. And we also won't be able to design plumbing, electrical, and waste management due to not having the proper training for that. And we also won't be able to make a physical working key pad in real life.
So some information that we gathered from our expo book was the 3 R's: reclamation, reusing, and recycling. Reclamation means to take waste and actually use that. Reuse is keeping the material physically the same, but reusing it in a different way. And then recycling is changing the material's form to make the material useful in another way. And another thing that we learned was landfill taxes. During the 20th century, it was expected to use new material when constructing, but now in recent times, landfill taxes and fees have increased to discourage discarding materials that could have been used or are going to be used in other sites.
So things that we learned from our book that we took away, that it presented new information that we really didn't think about before, such as making something out of something else instead of getting a new product where we thought we would have to buy everything new. But we learned that we can save much more money by reusing and recycling, as Gabby said before. And it also gave us many cycles that we can follow. We do have the engineering design process, but it also compared the engineering design process to the reclaimed components and materials design process. And we saw that maybe we want to take this route instead of going down another route to save as much money as we can and make our product successful as we can as well.
Thank you for paying attention to our presentation. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself now or write them in the chat. And we would like it if you can give us some information back of how we did in this bit.ly. I'll put it in the chat in a moment.